To access the lock and latch, you must remove the trunk lid liners. Open the trunk and remove the 4 T20 Torx screws on the trim piece, red arrows. On the back side of the trim piece, there are 3 push-pull pins, red arrows, that you will need to remove. Use a trim removal tool and pull the center part of the clip from the base. Then pull the base and the center pin section out. This is what the push-pull pins look like out of the vehicle. When installing, push the base in first and then the center pin section to lock it in place. You can now lower the trim piece and disconnect the trunk light by squeezing in the connection tab and separating them, red arrow. Use your trim removal tool and remove the push-pull pins on each trunk support arm. Pull the plastic arm cover away from the trunk once the pins are removed. Next, remove the 8 push-pull pins from the trunk liner as indicated by the red arrows. Lower the liner and disconnect the electrical connection for the inside trunk release, red arrow. You can now access the latching mechanism under the trunk lid. The mechanism comes with an attached cable, yellow arrow, that runs to the lock. Begin by disconnecting the electrical connection, red arrow. Next, use a T30 Torx and remove the 2 bolts holding the latch in place, red arrows. Pry the plastic cover off of the latch and push the latch up into the trunk. You cannot completely remove the latch from the trunk lid until you separate the cable from the lock. The latch cable is attached to the lock, red arrow. While you might be able to replace the cable with the lock still mounted to the trunk, it is much easier if you remove it first. Begin by disconnecting the electrical connection, yellow arrow, and then loosening the T30 Torx screw, green arrow. The Torx screw will loosen but stay attached to the lock. Turn the lock counterclockwise and pull it back out from the trunk, red arrow. Insert the key into the lock and turn it until the ball end of the latch cable can be removed from the plastic wheel, red arrow. Use a small flathead screwdriver and pop the cable out from the lock, then remove the ball end. You can now replace the lock. Installation is the reverse of removal. You can now also replace the latch mechanism and cable. Installation is again the reverse of removal. If you need to remove or adjust the striker plate, begin by pulling the trim surround piece straight up and out from around the striker. There are witness marks on both the chassis and the striker plate for making adjustments. Before you remove the plate or start making adjustments, make sure to mark this so you know your baseline. Thanks for watching. Click here to view the original article along with hundreds of other DIY content for your car.